Well, hello everyone. Good afternoon.
It's actually morning.
Is it morning? Is it?
It is still morning. 5 minutes.
Yeah, we're going to be speaking today, running some comments with Basil the Great on the PMQ. It's going to be a very interesting PMQs today because we know Keir Starmer's on the ropes, man. Absolutely deservedly as well, because he's screwed up the country so much. So, Rogue, what's been happening then?
Well, actually, he's hanging on by the skin of his teeth, and I find that a really weird saying.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by the skin of his teeth? What does that actually mean?
He's just hanging on for bare life, and that's why.
I understand, but like by the skin of his teeth, what a weird thing to say.
I know. Well, we're going to go through some of his tweets because he was silent on X for the last
4 days, actually, wasn't it?
4 days, yeah. And he posted something last night, and I'm just going to read to you what Keir Starmer said and posted to the country, right? Whatever is going on in the turmoil of politics, I know that for you and for millions of people, what matters is the cost of living. Yeah. That's why we're taking urgent steps to tackle it head on, freezing rail fares, rolling out free breakfast clubs, free school meals, boosting the national living wage, and easing energy bills. None of that is happening because, first of all, nothing is for free, and energy bills are going up.
Can we just rewind, though?
Yeah, go on.
You've been silent, Keir Starmer, for 4 days. We all know you're complicit. We all know that there are things going on in-house when it comes to Mandelson and your friendship, and then we have West Streeting too. And then now you're putting something out to try and appease us. You think we can be bought. You think that actually if we do this and do that, and you've said that you're going to do this and you're going to reduce this and reduce that, that we're going to go, oh, okay. I mean, look, he has from word go been a complete political gaslighter. This for me is just this intrinsic bullshit. I'm looking at this bullshit just going, what are you doing? Why are you lying? Why are you not? Just like, what's his name? The guy that got killed and didn't say his name.
Wayne Broadhurst.
Yeah, Wayne Broadhurst. They mention nothing. And it's almost like they think it's just going to go away. It's real. It's happening. We actually want you to speak up and say something.
No, we don't. We want him gone.
We do, but I still want him to say something. Yeah. He needs to address this. He needs to address it, but of course, he's not going to address anything, is he? Because he's just in hiding.
Yeah. For some reason, we're not live on X, my love. I don't know what's happened here. It's saying Sam watching, but...
Let me have a look.
I don't know if X has changed their kind of... We are on X as well, so if you're watching, welcome to the Rich and Roach afternoon show.
I will tell you.
I say afternoon, good morning, actually. But we are covering today, which is going to be a regular feature on the show. We're going to be covering PMQs.
I am live on X.
And we will have the wonderful Basil the Great on in just a few moments. And as we listen to the Prime Minister being tackled today in the House of Commons and all of the big issues. Can you turn your sound on, please, love?
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't want to hear myself twice.
I know.
I know you agree. So please share the broadcast as well. We're going to get Basil on in a few moments' time, but we're going to go to the House of Commons now. You're not going to see. We're just going to see the pictures live from there. That's David Davis there, probably talking on a number of key issues. He's a good MP actually. He stood up against a lot of things, lockdowns in particular as well. But yeah, folks are jumping on now. There's some quotes coming here.
God help us if the racist, Anglophobic Plaid. How do you say it?
Plaid Cymru.
I know it's Plaid Cymru, but I think you said I said it wrong the other day. Plaid Cymru.
You said Cymru.
Cymru. Get in. They talk about being anti-racist and call all Reform and Advanced supporters racist, but they have no problem being clearly xenophobic.
Absolutely. Welsh nationalists are some of the worst kind of people you would ever meet. I mean, they're absolutely vile.
Good morning, boyo.
Good morning, Arthur. Right. Good morning.
How's it going?
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, everyone's jumping on.
Good afternoon, Claire Bear. Good afternoon, Silver Surfer. How amazing it's to have you all on. We have decided that on a Wednesday at midday, we should cover the PMQs because we think it's just so relevant and we need to hear what's going on as it's going on.
Yeah.
So every Wednesday at midday, we're going to be doing it, but we'll probably come on.
We are 1 minute away from the PMQs. They're going to be filling the House of Commons there, which is traditional. What happens before PMQs, those don't know. They talk about all the devolved governments. So prior to this, hour and a half before, they talk about Northern Ireland, Scotland, and of course, Wales. News the Prime Minister coming into shot, so you can just see him taking his seat there. That's the traitor, the snake, Keir Starmer, just taking his seat as Tony Benn as his late father. That's Hilary Benn there, for those who don't know. And we're going to take some commentary now as we come to, I'm going to listen to the PMQs. Here we go.
This week, my committee published a unanimous report calling on the government to formally name Agent Steakknife. The government have said that the Supreme Court judgment in the Thompson case has implications for their decision, but lead officers have said it does not. So what is preventing the government naming Steakknife, and when do they plan to do so?
Well, I have, of course, seen the report that the Select Committee has published. There are ongoing civil proceedings, and the government is, as I indicated previously, still considering the implications of the Thompson Supreme Court judgment for this decision. I have promised the House that I will return when the government has reached a decision on the request that's been made from Sir Ian Livingstone, and I intend to honour that promise.
That completes questions. A point of order to the question you raised.
In view of the inadequate response I received from the Secretary of State for question 7, I give notice I intend to raise this matter on the adjournment.
What I would say is, put it on the record, his decision. What I would say, I'm not going to extend Northern Ireland questions. So I'm now going to move on to Prime Minister's questions. But before I do, I would like to welcome the President of Parliament, the Speaker himself, and I've got to say thank you to his delegation for arriving with us today from Estonia. So first of all, we now go to one said Toby Perkins for Prime Minister's questions.
Number 1, sir.
So here we go, folks. This is the first question to the Prime Minister, but of course we're waiting for Kenny Badenoch's kind of a opposition on it, and you see the House of Commons is packed, and we're going to go live in a few moments back into the chamber.
Are you laughing? Oh my God.
But we're on this side.
Mr. Speaker, can I start by saying this? My thoughts, and I'm sure the thoughts of the whole House, are with the 2 children stabbed at Kingsbury High School in Brent. And my heart goes out to everyone affected by this appalling attack. We thank the police for their rapid response. It's important now that we give them the space to pursue their investigation. And Mr. Speaker, this morning I conveyed the UK's deepest condolences to Prime Minister Carney and the people of Canada for the devastating shooting in Tumbler Ridge. Mr. Speaker, I'm determined to fix the broken SEND system. No parent should have to fight for the support their child needs. Today we announced a 10-year plan to fix the crumbling school estate that we inherited, delivering a more modern and inclusive classrooms that meet the needs of every child. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues. Now, there's been quite a few of those this week. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Thank you. I'd like to associate myself with the Prime Minister's remarks there. The Prime Minister's commitment to 1.5 million more homes will require 48,000 new entrants to the construction industry every year. In Chesterfield, we're doing our bit. The Construction Skills Hub brought 70 new entrants into the construction sector, and we did see a welcome increase in numbers across the country last year. But we need a step change. We need numbers to double. So can the Prime Minister tell the House what steps he is taking to get more people to commit to construction industry careers and get those numbers up where we need them to deliver on his housing ambitions?
Minister.
Well, my honourable friend is right. The task of rebuilding our country is a huge opportunity to give young people a brilliant career. And we're backing apprentices with a record £3 billion budget. And we're making sure companies who bid for major contracts commit to high-quality apprenticeships here in the United Kingdom. And, Mr. Speaker, we're creating 13,000 new opportunities for young people as plumbers, engineers and bricklayers, securing their future and rebuilding this country.
We come to the Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Badenoch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I associate my side of the House with the Prime Minister's words on the horrific stabbing in North London yesterday, as well as the shooting in Canada? When he was Leader of the Opposition, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "I never turn on my staff. When they make mistakes, I carry the can." What changed?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I've accepted responsibility and apologised for the mistakes that I made. But let me say this, Mr. Speaker. Morgan McSweeney helped me change our party and helped me win a landslide election victory, which delivered for them the smallest Tory party in over 100 years. And what's her great achievement? To make it even smaller.
Kemi Badenoch.
The whips have done a great job today. This is like the 37. Oh, you said, yeah, exactly. Done a great job today getting them cheering. We all know that they've been sick for the last week. Because let's remember, Mr. Speaker, just last week, he told us that he had full confidence in his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney. On Sunday, he sacked Morgan McSweeney. Last week, he resigned. Last week, Mr. Speaker, he was defending the Cabinet Secretary. Now he is sacking him. What changed?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, in January, she said she had full confidence, 100% confidence, she said, be no more defections from her party. 48 hours later, the shadow foreign minister defected. 8 days after that, the former Home Secretary defected. The only question now is, who's next? She needs to wake up. Her party is dying.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is demonstrating stratospheric levels of delusion if he thinks the problem is on this side of the House. And he didn't say anything about why the Cabinet Secretary is going. We know the truth. It is because he is throwing everyone under a bus except himself. And Mr. Speaker, the Mandelson episode was not an isolated incident. A few weeks ago, he announced a peerage for one Matthew Doyle, his former Director of Communications. Immediately after that, the Sunday Times published on the front page that Doyle campaigned for a man charged with child sex offences. Yet, despite the Prime Minister knowing this, he gave Doyle a job for life in the House of Lords anyway. Why?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Matthew Doyle did not give a full account of his actions. And on Monday, I promised my party and my country there would be change. And yesterday, I removed the whip from Matthew Doyle. I'll tell you what other action we've taken, Mr. Speaker. Along with the Safeguarding Minister, I and this government have introduced the most far-reaching violence against women and girls strategy. And I'll tell you what else we've done. This government has introduced a pay rise for millions of working-class women. What did the Leader of the Opposition do? She opposed it. This government's introducing greater protection for women at work. What did the Leader of the Opposition do? She opposed it. And I'll tell you what else she opposes. This government removing the disgusting rape clause that they put in place.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister pretends not to know about Matthew Doyle. It was on the front page of the Sunday Times. He cannot explain why he gave this man a peerage. And I think they should be wondering why they're still cheering for him after that. And the Prime Minister, sometimes likes to claim, as he just did, that he cares about violence against women. The truth is, he only cares about the victims when he's trying to save his own skin. They can shake their head. We saw it with grooming gangs. We saw it with Mandelson. And now we see it with Doyle. Isn't that what a former prosecutor would call an established pattern of behaviour?
Mr. Speaker, I'm going to take no lectures from the Tories in standards in public life. She defended Partygate for months and months and months. And even now she says it was overblown. The Shadow Foreign Secretary broke the ministerial code by bullying. Boris Johnson kept her. The Leader of the Opposition promoted her. She sits on her front bench. Her former Shadow Justice Secretary complained about not seeing enough white faces in Birmingham, and she was too weak to sack him for racism.
Nobody buys it, Mr. Speaker. Not even the Labour women, because they know he always puts the Downing Street Boys Club first. And how dare he criticise us? We weren't the ones stuffing government with hypocrites and paedophile apologists. He can't build a team, Mr. Speaker. He has no plan. He can't even run his own office, let alone the country. He is now dealing with a new scandal of appointing someone who campaigned for a man convicted of having indecent pictures of girls as young as 10. Isn't the Prime Minister ashamed that that will be his legacy?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, my legacy is changing my party
What?
and winning a general election. And I'll tell you this, I kicked my former leader out of my party. Her former leader, Liz Truss, broke the economy and has descended into bonkers conspiracy theories. I kicked her out of Parliament. She's too weak to kick her out of their party.
If they're not...
No answer at all there,
He
guys.
hasn't apologised for appointing
No,
Matthew Doyle
apologies.
because he won't take responsibility. He never does,
No, he
and they know it. The Prime Minister is now telling everyone that he's never lost a fight. It's because he won't step into the ring. He's never lost a
Seen him
fight.
with a
He's
punch
walked
bag.
away from welfare
Oh my
reform.
God.
Like a wet
He
flip
won't
flop.
stand up to the unions. He won't stand up to China. He can't even stand up to Mauritius. He's had, Mr. Speaker, he's had 3 cabinet secretaries, 4 chiefs of staff, 5 director of communications in just 18 months. And now he is mired in yet another scandal. Does he ever look in the mirror and ask himself, is the real problem staring him in the face?
Mr. Speaker, I delivered a landslide victory for our government. Only 4 people have ever led the Labour Party to victory in the general election.
Yeah,
I am
with his
one
voice.
of them. And she talks about numbers. Let us remember, Mr. Speaker, 5 prime ministers, 7 chancellors, 8 home secretaries, 8 foreign secretaries, 16 housing secretaries, all completely useless, all failed Britain, and this prime minister's clearing up the mess. She comes here every week desperately fighting to save her dying party. I'm fighting to change our country. Interest rates down. Inflation down, waiting lists down, child poverty down, and I'll tell you another thing's down, the number of Tory MPs.
Thank you, Mr.
Alan,
Speaker. The government
we bet.
has delivered the funding needed to rebuild the new Frimley Park Hospital after the party opposite made empty, unfunded promises to my constituents. Now we urgently need to get on with announcing the preferred site, along with the investment needed to improve public transport, road access and parking. Will the Prime Minister urge NHS England to make this a priority and help give much needed clarity to Bracknell Forest residents?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, delivering the new Frimley Park Hospital is a priority. Under the party opposite, his constituents were given totally empty promises. They failed patients and they failed staff. We put a proper plan and the funding to match, and the Trust are making real progress on the business case. And I want to see spades in the ground as quickly as possible.
Sir David, Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Mr. Speaker, can I associate myself with the Prime Minister's remarks about the dreadful stabbing of 2 children in Brent and about the horrifying shootings in British Columbia? Our thoughts and prayers are with the children's parents and the people of Canada, especially those grieving the loss of loved ones. Mr. Speaker, to appoint one paedophile supporter cannot be excused as misfortune. To appoint 2 shows a catastrophic lack of judgment. The Right Honourable Gentleman once told this House that when a Prime Minister refuses to take responsibility, and I quote, "It only serves to convince people that things cannot get better, that governments cannot improve people's lives, and that progress is not possible because politics does not work." Does he still agree with himself? And does he share my fear that that is exactly what is happening now?
Minister.
People in this country, millions of people, have been let down for years and years and years. And one of the reasons was austerity, which his party supported. He should take accountability and take responsibility for what he has inflicted on this country.
A lot of anger on show there, Rob, a lot of anger. Yeah, look at the PM as well.
Mr. Speaker, I think I touched a raw nerve. But I think the whole House will agree that the Manson scandal has shown yet again why we need a duty of candour for anyone and everyone in public office.
Absolutely.
Mr. Speaker, there should be no more delays in putting the Hillsborough law on the statute books. After the long fight by the bereaved families and so many others, like the Mayor of Greater Manchester. The Prime Minister once said it would be one of the first things he did in number 10. Will he finally do it now, even if it's the last thing he does?
Prime Minister. The panel report in the Hillsborough case was when I started working on the Hillsborough case. That was in 2012, when his party were in power. And they could have passed this law a long time ago and saved a lot of grief. I'm proud that this Labour government is bringing in a Hillsborough law, something I've committed to for a very, very long time.
Richard Quidley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the Prime Minister will have heard me say, the Isle of Wight is a fantastic place to live, work and learn, despite the leader of the opposition trying to give us to China. He will also be aware of some of the challenges we have in cross-zone transport, reliability, frequency and price. The emissions trading scheme, which ironically only applies to hybrid vessels, may increase fares further. Despite exemptions granted for Scotland and Northern Ireland, the lack of grid capacity.
Well, there we go, folks. We're still in the House of Commons there live. That PMQ's over with. Basil, great job in the show, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, no problem, mate. How are you?
Are you there, mate?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to the sound a minute. Yeah, what did you make of PMQs then, mate? We're just going to get this off the screen now because obviously we're going into the single questions to the Prime Minister, so we're going to remove that for a second.
They're going to the sort of individuals. All I'll say is it just to reiterate what I've always said about PMQs, which is it's a shambles and a shadow of its former self. PMQs is incredibly hi everyone, thank you for welcoming me on. PMQs is disappointing every single week. It's a waste of time. Often what you find is they just don't answer the question, and unfortunately it used to be the case that people had a sense of honor within the system, and so they could be trusted to go up there and actually answer a question because they thought it was their duty to inform the public. And nowadays they don't care, they just do anything to deflect from the question. Personally, I think PMQs needs a complete revamp, and I think the Constitution of the United Kingdom needs amending to ensure that a few of those changes are made, which I can elaborate on later if you want.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I'm just going to say thank you to Claire for her super chat. Thank you, Claire, for that.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate that. So
that.
thank you so much, Claire. Really appreciate that. Cup of coffee, thank you. One of the things, Rogue, at the start of the opening was to do with the murder of those two young boys and the stabbing that took place. Basil, you've seen this horrific attack, obviously, has left two young boys dead. And I gather the guy that did it was a young boy and shouted, Allah Akbar, he did it. Is that right?
Well, that's what everyone's saying. The police, I don't believe, have confirmed that yet, but that's what all the media outlets are reporting. Witnesses on the scene were saying the same thing. So, yeah, I imagine that is the case. I mean, look, it's not a surprise. Islam is the #1 cause of terrorism in the United Kingdom. We are riddled with Islamic nut jobs in this country. I don't say it lightly. Unfortunately, that religion encourages violence and hatred of people who aren't Muslim, and it will continue until we get a grip of the idea that this foreign religion doesn't belong in the UK. It's a danger to our people. It's a danger to other people who aren't even our people, other migrants who are here. And we shouldn't be allowing it. And look, some people in the past will call me Islamophobic. Some people still say, that's racist. It's just true. I mean, it's just true. Look at the statistics. It's just true. The Muslims make up a tiny percentage of this population. It's somewhere between 6 and 7%, and yet they are by far the most numerous in terms of terrorist attacks and terrorist incidents that are stopped by MI5 and MI6 and GCHQ. Yeah. So, why is that?
Yeah, I mean, what did you make of Keir Starmer's performance today in those comments? I mean, it was very short, wasn't it?
It was really short, and he didn't answer anything. All he does is deflect, as Basil's just said. All he does is like remove responsibility from himself and then just go straight back to come in. Is just like, you need to take accountability. You need to take account for the austerity. You need to do He will never answer anything, and I can't stand the way he belittles women. He does just like laugh at them. He scoffs, and I just find him so misogynistic.
Well, you heard Kemi say there, that you're just a big boys club in here, just
absolutely together. I mean, and that's exactly what it is.
We know he's in that big boys club, some of the Ukrainian rent boys as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
But some of the things he said there, he's accepted responsibility. No, he hasn't accepted no responsibility. He's thrown.
Sorry, guys. Someone's at my door. I'll just be 2 minutes, okay? You carry on.
No problem. Yeah, so basically, I mean, if you look at it from what we watched today, he didn't accept any responsibility. He's thrown two members of his party, two key positions in his staff under the bus. McSweeney, which we know a little bit about him. You can mention that role, can you? And Director of Communications. Now, clearly, he is a Prime Minister that's on the ropes, right? And he's trying to punch his way back in. Note the anger in his voice today when Ed Davey challenged him, how angry he was. Obviously, he is very, very concerned about his position. He has rallied around his Labour MPs this week. He had a meeting yesterday and the day before. He joked about it, if you remember, in his opening remarks, and he made a joke about it. Yeah, I've had loads of meetings today, as if it's a funny thing.
Yeah, I didn't like that. As you know, that whole opening of him mocking. I mean, look, this is so damn serious, what we are literally facing as a country. You know, Mandelson and all his weaving of disgustingness, and yet he's laughing, going, yeah, I've had to have like loads of meetings. Yeah. Do you mean, like, you should be gone? And, you know, the very fact, like we said earlier, that he didn't actually post anything on X for 4 days, and then he comes in on the 5th day with, I know that everybody's worried about this country, but I promise you that we're going to remove tax, we're going to give you free dinners, we're going, you know, school dinners, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Fuck off.
Yeah, his usual tact is to blame the Conservative Party for 14 years of failure. Well, we all know that, but what's he doing about it? He's been in power now for over 18 months, and what he delivered for the British people? Nothing but absolute chaos. We still have mass open borders. The cost of living has gone through the roof. Taxes are going up. I mean, he claims to be the Prime Minister, wanted to fix things. What has he actually fixed? All trust in him is gone. You talk to anybody out in the streets, in the supermarkets, in the pubs, cafes, nobody trusts this man anymore. He has lost the plot. He has lost the general public completely. And look,
I mean, his voice, just that alone would actually lose the whole public. He's vile.
I think it's only a matter of time before an election's called. He is clearly under pressure. But he sent out his MPs yesterday, didn't he? And Sunday in particular on the Laura Kunsberg show and all the media outlets to talk about, we're with the Prime Minister, he needs more time to deliver. No. He has screwed the country up enough.
Do you know, I was going through some of my videos that I put up when we first started. And in June at 2025, there were Labour backbenchers and there were Labour Party members who were all fighting, and MPs saying, there were 100 of them saying they did not want him in anymore. Look how far we have gone on now. We're a year and a bit in, and we're still in the same position where we all want him out. He is not fit for Prime Minister. Absolutely. He does not know how to look after the women. Like Kemi said, the PM only cares about the violence against women as an afterthought. You can't look at it retrospectively. But you just can't look at something like this retrospectively.
It's a bit hypocritical of her to say that, given the fact that she was overseeing the grooming gangs as well when they were in power, and they didn't really do anything with the National Inquiry. They say they did, they didn't. I mean, look what Rupert Lowe's doing now, right?
I mean,
a single MP exposing it, having this independent inquiry, which hopefully will lead to prosecutions in the future. But where have they been? Where have the Conservatives? Where have Reform been? Actually, Nigel Farage, who promised that he would tackle this head on, has not shown any support to Rupert Lowe whatsoever. I find that disgraceful. And if you're a Reform voter, you should too, because I think it's a disgrace. Because this isn't about which party you belong to. This is about the survivors of who have been brutally raped by the hands of these vile people, these monsters, and they deserve to have justice. But yet, even Farage is like, I have nothing to do with it. Why? Because of Rupert Lowe. Grow a set of balls and grow up, will you? Put your ego to one side and support a man who is exposing the grooming gangs. For goodness sake, grow up.
Okay, but I still want to go back to the point. Sorry, I understand that you can say that Kemi was being hypocritical, but whilst he is, as now a Prime Minister, I want him to be caring about the women that are suffering rape and violence. Do not have them as an afterthought. You cannot do this retrospectively. You cannot say, oh yeah, I'm going to care for them and protect them. Oh, it's retrospective. The damage has been done. And I honestly believe, sincerely, that this is being allowed because the very fabric of womanhood is being totally disintegrated, and in that there are causing for women to be more subservient, damaged, broken, and I just find it like just an atrocity. It is an atrocity. He should no longer be in. Basil, where are you at with that?
Well, there's a lot to take in there. What I would say is regarding the PMQ's performance, obviously it's what I expected, right? Which is just, again, not answering questions and avoiding the issue at hand, because obviously Keir Starmer's had one of the worst weeks he's had of his tenure, right? It's just getting worse and worse and worse. On the grooming gangs, though, I checked today, it's been 242 days, I believe, since Keir Starmer said that we were going to have this grooming gang inquiry. And obviously since then, what we've had is a promise to have one, But then, obviously, it took a little bit of shape, and the victims immediately noticed that this was just a cover-up again. They immediately saw the kind of headline, the people they put in charge were all Labour spin people, and so they were just disgusted by it, right? Now, okay, we expected that to happen, but where does that leave these victims? Well, as you've just said, Richie, they've got Rupert Law's inquiry going on now. Now, that for me is doing a job that we look. A lot of people have criticised the inquiry and said, "What's the point of it? Because you've got no statutory powers and all the rest of it." We've got nothing else. There's literally nothing else. And in this country, when one of the worst crimes in our history, mass rape of little girls across this country by mainly Muslim Pakistani gangs, and the cover-up has been so extortionate, it really brings to light around the world, thanks to Twitter, X, Elon, all the rest of it, just how depraved the United Kingdom has become. And I've spoken about this before, and the fact that people say it was the culture of the Muslim gangs that was the problem. There was also a culture of cover-up within the British state. Yeah. These people weren't talking to each other a lot of the time, but they still knew to cover it up, to ignore it, to downplay it, to pretend it wasn't happening, and in some cases to actively take part in it and make sure the girls got back to their abusers. This is the sort of thing where I would say like Nuremberg-style trials need to happen. And I don't say that lightly. I really mean it. I believe that we need thousands upon thousands of people processed through criminal courts. I don't want to see British veterans from wars in bygone ages brought up on the stands in the 70s now and say, did you shoot or not shoot in that situation? What I want to see British courts being used for is to bring forward the thousands of complicit and possibly complicit social workers, social care workers, the police, the authorities, the councils, and so on, all the way to the top if necessary. And every single one of them should have their day in court and should be cross-referenced and analysed to see exactly what they knew and what they did when people turned to them for help. And right now, we are never going to get that under Keir Starmer. Even if Keir Starmer decides to put this forward, which, by the way, he's not, he's hoping we'll forget about it, and that's it, right? None of this will ever come out under a Keir Starmer government. And frankly, thanks to Nigel Farage's attitude towards Rupert Law's, I'm not even sure they're going to get anything done with it either. The only way those girls, I believe, well, I can say with any confidence that they will definitely see justice is under a Rupert Law government, genuinely speaking, because he's the only one who's actually turned around and said, you know what, this is not about political point scoring for me. I'm actually putting my money into this and taking my time out of other things I could be doing, like setting up a political party, etc., and putting all that on the back burner to get this done. Why? Because I promised those girls we would do it. And that, to me, is a fantastic person. Go and look around. BBC, Sky News, ITV, Channel 4, all ignoring it. Go and look at the politicians, all ignoring it. Not all, and to be fair, there is a couple who've turned on and promoted, etc., but very, very few. Vast majority ignoring it. This goes to show how corrupt our state is, how far it goes, because there are many things you can try and justify turning a blind eye to. This is not one of them.
Yeah, do you know, because recently I've been seeing like sort of little posts and memes about, you know, sort of comments that have been said by the victims and survivors, and you just read it and it just tears you apart, because you are knowing what they have suffered and have gone through, and to have one man, you know, with his team be the voice. I have so much respect for that, because, you know, I also suffered, and I also know what it feels like to not be heard, to not be listened to be completely ignored, for the police to completely fail you. You know, it is so important that the women and the children are heard, because I just feel it's going to be the demise of womanhood, because if they're targeting the children at such a young age, they're going to be so fragile, and their fragility within, you know, our culture is being reduced. And it just breaks me. I mean, I'm going to give you an example. I put something up on X earlier. So Mohammed Hussein, a Pakistani immigrant, was arrested for attempting to rape a 14-year-old British girl. When the police arrived at the scene and confronted him about the serious crime, his immediate excuse was that what most illegal immigrants use, basically, which is, I'm new here, I don't know British laws, I only know Sharia law, and in my country, we can marry young girls.
Absolutely sick. I mean, it's a civilization, and I always say this tonight, it's a death cult. It's a barbaric, ancient death cult that has no place in British society whatsoever. It does not belong here. And I've come out more and more recently and said I ban Islam altogether. And people have called me an extremist, have called me racist. I don't care anymore, Basil. I'm past the point of caring. And I'm not, hiding my face. I'm Richie Taylor. Yeah, and I've just said it. I don't care. Because, if they send me to jail for saying it, I don't care. Because we have to speak out against this rot and this filth in our society, because it's nothing less than paedophilia. And it's becoming acceptable and the norm. And if we don't keep speaking up and don't start campaigning to our local MPs, at local level, at constituency level as well. And we're thinking about organising some events around that in the near future, where we're going to get local people to campaign to their MPs to say, look, we don't want this in our community. We don't want these HMOs, these hotels. Threaten your MP to say, if you allow this to happen, we will vote you out of the next general election, because something has to change, because it's not good enough for politicians week after week to get up and do their theatrics in the House of Commons. It's like one big circus, all prescripted. I mean, Kenny Badenoch could have really gone for it today, right? I think she was piss poor today. I don't know if she had a late night last night. I don't know. But she could have gone for him today big time, given all the stuff that's come out. Not just alleged things, but, the question was what changed? That's not good enough. This Matthew Doyle guy got given a peerage, and the story around him, with the sexual, whatever stuff he's been involved in, and he's given the guy a peerage. What the hell is going on? Why don't they wake up there and start speaking? And Kenny could have done a lot better, Basil, don't you think, today?
Yeah, but the thing with Kemi Badenoch is she's so exposed by what they've done previously in the Tory party. So they've been so fragile and fake and terrible that she can't beat that terrible record. No one can forget the 14 years of failure. Yeah. Kemi Badenoch will always be hounded by this past legacy because she was part of those cabinets. She's not a fresh face. And so even if she can turn around and say, look, I tried to get against it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They had 14 years to fix these problems, to even attempt to fix these problems. And they took everyone for granted. So she can never get past that. This is why the Tories shouldn't really be the opposition right now. It's a disservice. I know technically they should be, but it's a disservice to the country, because every time someone turns around and says, Keir Starmer, look what you're doing, his reaction is, well, what did you do? And that's devastating for us as a country. We are literally just locked right now. We are locked in this psychodrama where we've got Farage on the sidelines, who spouts off every now and then and disappoints many of us, and has his way with the press and all the rest of it. And I get that. But what happens in Parliament is just two dead parties arguing over a corpse. They literally have got no ideas. They're not interested in fixing this country. It would be different, right? If Kemi Badenoch turned around and said, we're going to revolutionise the Tory party, right? We are going to have the most extensive immigration policy in history. We're going to have a re-migration policy. If she started saying policies similar to what Advance UK have just launched, right? We would all go, wow, oh my God. No offence, Ben, but the Tories are a much bigger party. They have a chance of winning the election, blah, 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 blah. You can have all those conversations. But the truth is that would draw the conversation to Kemi having a whole new roster of people who support her, a whole new batch of people who are sat there going, we need to now get the Tory party back into power. It would give them enthusiasm and rejuvenation. But since they've lost that election, what has changed? Nothing. They've literally changed. The one thing they can say is that they want to leave the ECHR now. Whoop-de-doo. And do what after leaving it? Do you know what I mean? Stop the boats. What about the millions already here who shouldn't be here? They've had nothing to say about it. Anybody who turns around to you and says this is about stopping the boats is lying to you. They're living 10 years ago. The boats have already arrived, and they weren't just illegal boats either. Many legal boats and planes have arrived full of people who should not be here, but they were accepted in. So unless the Tories turn around and say something actually interesting or exciting for a change, then what is the point in even listening to them?
Yeah.
Again, Kemi can't turn around and say, we'll fix this country when she won't address the problems that have broken it. And I can understand why it's difficult for someone like her to do that, considering she grew up in Nigeria. And her actual name is Odegoke, isn't it? A surname, which she keeps secret from everyone because she doesn't want to repeat to be a foreigner. But the truth is, we are in this country, we have a genuine rot at the heart of society where British people, truly British native people, are put to the back of the queue, and foreigners or people who are foreign and then with second-generation immigrants or whatever take the stage. And it's just making things worse. It really is. So unless Kemi Badenoch turns around and says, actually, we are going to get on with this job, we are going to fix this country, here's what the problems are, and we will do it, then there's literally no point in discussing her, because the energy, the enthusiasm, and also The place where you want to spend your time is further outside of the mainstream. You know, I would rather listen to Ben Habib talk about real policies that can actually fix this country than Kemi Badenoch say for the 50th time multiculturalism has failed. Great, Kemi, great. So what are you going to do about it? Nothing.
Yeah. Well, Ben Habib was due to be on the show tonight, but unfortunately he sent a message that he's postponed and asked for alternative dates. He couldn't make it. So if you're waiting for him to come on tonight, folks, apologies. He's postponed and cancelled, and we'll hopefully get him back on at a later date. We wanted to discuss some of those policies with him, didn't we? Because obviously we streamed with Basil, actually, our good friend, the actual event itself. And whilst they were draft policies, they a lot of people say they lacked in detail, but I didn't expect too much detail at that point, Basil. Did you?
No, you can't give them. When you're up on stage, it's a performance, right? We understand how this works. There's people sat there busy waiting. I don't want him to read out a manifesto to us, right? Absolutely. I want him to get to the key points, okay? If you want to, just ask yourself, how many people actually read a manifesto? I do. I'm a nerd, right? I'm a political nerd. I'm a junkie. I'm a weirdo, right? When it comes to politics, this is right. I'm a weirdo, right? So I'm
that point.
Yeah. I'm just to be clear, I'm a political junkie, right? So when it comes to that stuff, I read that stuff, right? But most people don't. What most people do is they wait for people like me to tell them kind of the headlines of what's in, and that's all Ben was doing the other day. All we need is the headlines. We are 3 years away from the next general election. Okay, we just want to know what direction Advance UK is going in. I was concerned about some of the things I saw with Advance UK. Not worried, not leaving or anything, just concerned. And I was sitting there going, I'm waiting to hear something here because I'm a bit disturbed that this hasn't happened yet. However, the other day was a big thumbs up for confidence. The party's going in the right direction. They are listening to the membership. They are using the college to make sure that they're getting the right information through. People are passing information up the chain, and it is getting listened to, which is the important thing, which doesn't happen in other political parties that we've mentioned before. So, like I say, I was happy to see that, and I want to see more, okay? Am I happy? Is that finished product? Of course not. And that's the point. Ben said it himself. We will keep refining this until we get to the election window. This is just a draft. This is just a starting gun, but it's letting everybody else know, look at where we are. I said to you, you should ask him about banning halal. Now, I'll just let you know, right? I've spoken to some people at Advance, and I'm not portraying any confidences here. They're quite open to the idea of that, right? So that's what I want to see next. I want to see Advance turn around and say, we will ban halal. Because if we ban halal, then maybe Muslims will remigrate themselves, you know? And that's what, and again, let's keep pushing in this direction for what we want. And as long as we keep getting what we want, and we can turn around to Reform and say, what is the point in supporting you when there's a far better option here on the table? That's the key thing.
Can I just ask a question on that, Basil? Because I mentioned you wrote in the car coming in. With banning halal, would that apply then to the Jewish faith as well, kosher? Because, of course, there's similarities in how the meat is slaughtered, isn't it? So the animals are slaughtered. So would that be against the Jewish community as well then? Or would it just be for the Muslims? I mean, where would you pitch your tent on that?
Well, for me personally, yeah, I'm interested in the animal rights element of it. I don't what the thing is, right? I'm actually, right, I am interested in animal rights, but that's not the primary motivator for me. The primary motivator for me is that British culture should always come first. Our culture, our traditions going back over 1,000 years, even before the Norman conquest, it was noted that British people took care of their animals far better than people did on the continent. We care more about our animals. We actually see them as part of our not our livelihoods, but our communities we used to, and obviously farms and all the rest of it. We are passionate about where our food comes from, how it is reared, how it is looked after, and all the rest of it, okay? We have lost that a bit in the modern world with Americanisms and stuff, but we still retain that, and you can tell that for a fact, because if you go and look at stores across the country, what do people look for? They look for the little red tractor symbol to know it's British farmed beef, etc. Okay? We want to know that foreign cultures are not dominating our rules and standards, okay? Most people do not even know they're consuming halal meat, okay? So we need to, one, know what we're consuming. I think that's just fair. But two, we should be allowed to go further and say we're not wanting to see this stuff again, Ben seems to have, look, I get some ethno-nationalists like, look, just ban everything, kick everyone out, all that. And that would, I guess it would solve the problem, but also there's a case of...
I'm kind of in that category, Basil, by the way.
No. Look, I'm very sympathetic to that view at times as well, but there is a case of you have to bring people along with you. Not everyone's down the rabbit hole like we are. And obviously there are people who'd sit there and go, well, they're absolutely fine, so why would we kick them out? And look, I get it. What Ben's basically laid out the ethos of advances. British culture comes before anything, right? Yeah. So it's not just a case of we can assimilate other cultures. We don't want them here, okay? Which I think is a big step in the right direction, okay, on the road to fixing this country. So if he turns around and says, so banning halal and banning kosher, to me, make perfect sense because they are not, for me, because they are not in line with British beliefs on how animals should be slaughtered, okay? We don't believe in this. So if we don't believe in it, and the reason why I talk about ban halal is because ban kosher is just not that controversial. Most people, the Jewish community is so small in this country, and they're also not violent in the same way that, the Muslim community is, and they don't cause as many problems as the Muslim community does, and people don't care about them that much. No offense to Jews, but people don't talk about your community, which is a good thing, right? Which goes to show that we're not concerned about you. When it comes to Muslims and Islam, look, I used to go around doing, sorry to waffle on, but I used to go around, you asked me to come on the show. I used to go around doing like community talks with people in pubs and community centres, right? So it was basically like you'd sit people around, and believe me, when people have had a drink, they love telling you about what they believe, okay? And I used to sit and listen to them. I love trying to learn what people think, why they think that way, and so on, right? I really, really enjoyed doing that. And I did it for years and years and years. And when I get healthier again, I will be doing it again because it's fascinating, right? To learn about what people think and also to learn what people are seeing who are, I would class as the kind of normal people of society, average people of society, people who aren't permanently online looking at the news and see what gets through to them. What I noticed was before Brexit, the big thing people would say is immigration is a major problem in this country, and particularly EU immigration, Eastern European immigration is a major problem. And then once Brexit happened, the issue just became, again, immigration is an issue in this country. Didn't go away, but it wasn't specific anymore. And then after COVID, I've noticed it is so common now for people to say Muslim immigration is a major problem in this country, and it's become specific again. And I genuinely think that if someone who had the money and the balls to do a poll across the country to find out if this country would ban Islam if they could, I think the vote would be a lot closer than what many people in the Westminster bubble suspect it would be. I'm not sure if it would be a yes, but it will be a hell of a lot higher than what people are expecting. Because it's not just, the thing is, when people don't like something, right, that's one thing. But the truth is, people genuinely are scared of this now. And that brings out not just the men, not just the local lads, that brings out mothers, that brings out grandmothers, that brings out the people who genuinely fear the other. And we've never had that in this country's history before. We've never had one specific group of migrants that have caused so many problems for our society, from grooming gangs to terrorism to anything you want to mention, mosques blaring out the call to prayer and all the rest of it. So will banning halal be a vote winner? I genuinely think it would. If kosher has to be thrown in there as well because it's an animal rights issue, fine by me. But I'm just saying, I don't think people would even, I think they would just see halal, know what it represents, and go, I want rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, I went into Subway the other day. I'm actually vegetarian, so I can't stand any of, like, you know, the way that the animals are slaughtered, full stop. So I went into Subway and I basically went to buy something, and then actually on the side it said, we serve halal meat. So it's everywhere. It is absolutely everywhere. And it's all about accommodation. And it just pisses me off so much because it just really gets me.
Smiling here because whenever we go out for food, you are one of the hardest people to buy for. I know. Because the vegetarian option is very small and you're very particular and you like your fine dining. So I'm like, let's go to Brewster's Fair. She goes, what? Don't swear at me. I said Brewster's Fair, love. It's just I'm on a budget, like, you know what I mean? I know. I mean, it's you're right though. It's becoming something. It's a point that is going to be used in upcoming elections, because if it's anything connected to do with Islam, then it's going to be a selling point on the ballot paper. I think, Basil, definitely 100%. I mean, you know, one of the policies Ben mentioned as well, stopping the call to prayer out on the, or pray in public out in the streets as well, or converting churches or religious buildings into mosques, all that kind of stuff. I mean, these are the kind of things that the country is angry about and doesn't want to see happening, isn't it?
Absolutely. And again, if you look around at what's happened to this country, you ask most people, are they happy that churches get converted into, say, nightclubs? Most people are offended by that. They don't want to see them converted into other buildings, but mosques, that's one of the worst things you could convert them to. And then you see the videos on TikTok of these Muslims saying, we're dominating the UK, we're taking over their churches and so on. They're lauding it in front of us. Now, don't get me wrong. Most people aren't that super Christian anymore. Even if they believe in God, they don't go to church every week like we used to. We do have an overabundance of churches in this country. But I think most people would agree that we should put some budget aside to look after these ancient buildings that have served us for so long. Don't get me wrong. If a church was built in the 70s and it was, it's just taken over, a local youth centre or something, it's a brick building, fine. Like it's taken over by a nightclub or whatever, who cares? I'm talking about these medieval Victorian churches, the ones that are over 200, years old. We all know what they look like, Gothic architecture, all the rest. They're beautiful and they're symbols of our history and our past. And we shouldn't let that disappear. It's disgusting to me that when you see glorious things of our history just be left to ruin. I mean, today I got on my high horse and I'm going to make a post about it soon, about Winston Churchill's tree, which it was dedicated to him when he died in the 60s, and it's been chopped down. His grandson was furious about it. Local campaigners have tried to stop this. It's now been chopped down. A tree dedicated to one of the greatest prime ministers we've ever had in this country, right? Chopped down. Do you know why it was chopped down? To make room for houses that are for migrants to live in. That's why it was chopped down. So you sit there and go, why is this happening? Why do we have to give up our history, our culture, all to import these people who we do not want here? Again, this country has never voted for mass migration, ever voted for it. Every single government that has ever got into power with a manifesto that said we will either secure the borders or we will reduce migration. And every single time they put it up, it's a disgrace, the state of our country.
Absolutely disgusting.
I mean, so the hope we have then, right? On the show last night, we had David Curtin with us, right? From the Heritage Party. We just wanted to get to know him and what his party stands for. I mean, I knew a little bit about them before, but they're a small fringe party, I know. But one of the things I said to him, David, is politics really the answer? Because the problems we face are cultural more than political, in my opinion. And I've always been a believer, yes, political change is what we need. It's the ballot box where the power is, democracy is what we have, the levers we've been given. People died to give us the freedom of vote and all that. But Basil, I'm losing faith in politics. I am getting to the point where I'm fucked off with it. I'm thinking it's not the answer. We need a cultural war or revolution, whatever it is, what you want to call it. I'm not advocating violence, of course, I wouldn't do that. But if it comes to it, where we have to defend our women and children, use our fists, mate, then I'm sorry, I'm going to have to do what's right for women and children. That's how I'm getting really knocked off with politics, because they promise everything, but they never deliver. When they get into power, they become part of the system. And the system is corrupt to its core. Whether you're in the House of Commons, House of Lords, whichever committee you sit on, they're all as bad as each other. And I'm getting to the point, like many people, where it's like, fuck this, fuck the politics. We need a revolution. We need to get out on the streets en masse, millions of us, non-compliance, and start doing what is right for the people of this country, because I don't think politics is the answer. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, right? But I'm shifting, in my opinion. You know this, Rob, I've always believed that politics is the answer, hence why I got involved with Advance UK, because I felt it was the right vehicle to bring change. But more and more, in the last few weeks, I'm getting so fucking pissed off, forgive me for swearing, folks, I'm getting angry, because our fucking country's been ruined and devastated by a bunch of wanksters in 10 Downing Street, and previous governments as well, and they promise they're going to change. Farage comes out promising the earth. He's flip-flopping like mad. He's having more Muslims in his party than anything else. He used to buy his way into the party, and we expect to trust this man, to believe this man, to deliver for the British people. It's a load of bollocks. And so I'm thinking to myself, what do we do other than just put our trust in politics, Basil? What do we do, mate?
Well, look, I mean, I do X Spaces, and obviously pretty much every single one you have, someone will come up and say, we're sick of waiting. We're sick. We need to just take to the streets and riot or whatever. From a legal standpoint, obviously, you can't support that. And so I never will say that I do support that. I'll always say I don't agree with violence and all the rest of it. What I will say is this: if it comes to that, then that means we've already lost so much of ourselves in turning to that we couldn't persuade enough of the population to fix the country, to elect the right people to fix the country before it was too late. I think there'll be a damning indictment on the rest of us. And I think if it does come to that, then we're not just going to have violence on the streets and then everything will go back to normal the way it's supposed to be. It would fundamentally change our country forever, because the last time there was a revolution in this country was hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And again, you've got to think, we've had the reason why United Kingdom was invented was to try and stop the violence on these islands. And I think that the going that way would open a can of worms to many people to then use violence to get what they want in return. And I think that it's important to not do that. I used to listen. I mean, obviously, when I was younger, right, I used to go to these Labour meetings and stuff because I was in the Labour movement as a child. Basically early uni. And I used to listen to these crackpots in the Labour Party who would sit there and say, you know, when the revolution comes, we'll take over and we'll do all this. And they used to just talk about this high completely. And they used to talk about it like no one they know or love will get hurt. Like it's just the bad people who will get hurt. And I used to just say to them, like, are you for real? Like, if you give one of the common things that people used to say was guns in Dundee, dock workers in Dundee getting hold of AK-47s, right? And it was a big thing in the 80s and all the rest of it. The revolution against Margaret Thatcher. And again, do you know how many people who you care about and love will die in something like that? Again, this is, I don't think turning around and just saying, I'm so frustrated that I want to turn to violence is an answer for anybody. I understand the frustration, I do. And I'm not saying that it'll never happen, because who knows? But I'm just saying that, one, we're very far from that. A lot further than many people think, right? Because you asked me more.
I've been told off for interrupting by Rogan.
It's all right, mate. I have to interrupt. Conversation.
Burning inside of me. We've already got violence on our streets. These people are using machetes. These people are using weapons. It's already on our streets. And like, you know, if I was to protect my family by, you know, by sheer chance, let's say we walk through the streets of London and we were attacked by a bunch of guys in, you know, black hoodies and masks and all that kind of stuff, and I had to pick up a brick to defend my family, I'm the one that would be in court, in the dock, and put into prison. You know, because I defended my family. It's literally turned that bad in this country. People are afraid to walk the streets of London at night. This is the capital of our great United Kingdom. It's turned into a shithole. Look at the cities around Birmingham, Liverpool, Manchester. If you look at some of the places where the predominant people that live there are Islamists, they're stinking shit tips. They're filthy, stinking streets.
I mean, like in Birmingham, definitely down the Stratford Road, you know, you see the difference. You know, you kind of drive through it and all the shops, all the rubbish, you know, everything on the streets. And what it used to be even 10 years ago, I mean, I drove through it and was just absolutely gobsmacked. There is a distinct difference, but I do not think that violence is the answer at all. But what I do believe, you know, like Basil was saying, you know, we've gone really wrong if we can't put enough pressure on or actually make changes, you know, that we're having to be ended up doing.
Richie, think about it this way, right? Are you a sports fan at all?
Rugby, yeah.
Rugby, okay. So what rugby team? So I guess you support Wales, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Of course, right? Okay. So you've seen the Cardiff Stadium, yeah?
Yeah,
I've been Stadium, yeah. Exactly. Right. Now, have a look around that stadium and think how many people are there, right? Then think about how many people it takes that the top party usually gets in a constituency election. It's about 10, 20,000 usually. It's a fraction of that stadium of people you need to convince to win a constituency election. So think about it. With 650 constituencies in this country, you need 650 people. We're probably speaking to more than 650 people right now. And all they need to do is convince a fraction of the Millennium Stadium to win an election in their constituency. This is so doable. But the problem is people like to sit in bubbles. They don't like to go out and talk to people who don't agree with them. And you have to do that. If you sit there and go, I am rage-filled, I am angry, I want to take to the streets, I want to batter someone, all those different things, I'll tell you right now, what's far more useful is going to a church or a community centre or a pub and asking people what they think of the state of this country And when they tell you it's going to the dogs, try and convince them that your ideas are the right ones and there's someone to back as a political party. That is fun. And use that anger and rage that you have within you as your energy, your driving force to get out there and win over votes. I tell you what, the amount of people who speak to me, and I'm not calling out anyone in particular, but the amount of people who speak to me, you'll be surprised how many people say to me things like what you've just said, Richie. And then when I ask them in return, have you ever went campaigning? Have you ever handed out leaflets for a political party? They nearly all say no. So the thing is it that you're so rage filled, you don't want to put the effort in to change this country? No, I don't believe that at all. What I believe is people switch to violence because they see it as an easy option. And the truth is, once you go down that path, you find it's not an easy option at all. Go and look at any time it's ever happened, ever, and the devastation that follows, right? It's not an easy option. So the question, like I say, it comes down to is, why don't you put your energy into the democratic system while we've still got it and win this thing? And not just win it for yourself or for your family or for your community, but win it for your country. And you know what? It'll mean that you can always say to the world, it doesn't matter how far down a dark hole British people dug, we together dug ourselves out.
Just to come back on that, so people know, right? I'm not advocating violence, by the way, to go out in the streets and fight. But my kind of rage is tapping into the feeling of the nation right now, isn't it? Because when your back's up against the wall and all you've got left is yourself and your family to defend, you'll turn to any means possible to save the ones you love, right? And I personally, Baz, as you mentioned there, I've stood in 2 elections. I've put my money where my mouth is. I've put my time, effort, all the stuff being a target by the public, all that kind of stuff, to want to make a change. I've been out knocking doors, campaigning. But the issue I have is this. It's, if politics was the answer to all of these issues we're facing right now, why isn't it solved it yet?
Because, no, politics is the game. The winners have never been the right people. That's the problem. The people who win the game have been terrible. That's the problem. Robbie's just said, for 30 years, we have voted against mass immigration, and for 30 years, they've ignored us. Absolutely right, Robbie. And the disappointing thing there is people didn't cotton onto this and go, and I can't blame anyone because it took me a long time as well. But we're a poorly informed society. We have more tools now than we've ever had at our disposal to get messages out and truth out. Okay? Social media is everywhere. Majority of people in the UK have social media accounts. It's not locked off by the BBC and Channel 4 TV anymore, okay? So we've got all of the tools we need to win these elections. And again, if you don't believe me, go and have a look at your local council election. You'll be surprised how few votes it took to elect your local councillor. Yeah, it's usually a couple of hundred. That's all it took, right? You know more people than that in your life, you know. So again, it's like this is so doable. But you've got to get off your arse and do it. And look, I'm not criticizing anybody who doesn't want to do it. I get the reasons why. But all I'm saying is, if you believe that you think violence is the answer, I'm telling you right now, there are other answers that are so much more easier, will not get you in jail and all the rest of it, and, you know, won't get you killed, and you've got a chance to do it. So take those options while we still have it. I'm not saying it'll never come to violence. I'm not, because I wouldn't be that naive, okay? We're on a very dark path in this country. Yeah. And for some reason, lefties either can't see it or refuse to see it. But the point is, right now, we stand on the precipice of major change. Look at the polling data. Reform, top party. Conservatives, second top party. Why is that? It's because they're rejecting the ideas of the left. People are sat there going, I want the parties that say they will deal with immigration. It's not just in the UK, it's all around the Western world. Things are changing. Yeah. So, again, Advance has got 3 years. Get your act together. You can totally get a slice of that pie or even be the biggest slice at the table if you play your cards right.
Yeah, you wanted to answer these questions. So Carl has put, Richard, are you not going to stand in the Welsh elections? A shame if you don't, because we need more people like you all over the UK.
Carl, first of all, thank you for that kind comment. The elections in Wales 3 months away, and with Advance UK currently, I don't believe they're in a position to stand candidates. If they do, they'd be foolish. I don't think they will win a single seat, even under the new system. It's not PR anymore, it's a different system now. There's 6 super constituencies here in Wales. My constituency, where I was strongest, was in Blaenau Gwent. Got a lot of people that voted for me there in previous elections and got a strong following there. But given the way that Reform are doing right now, it would be political suicide for any other party, Advance or any other party on outside of the debate or argument, to actually stand candidates, because what you would do in effect is you would not, I'm not using this word split the vote, but what you would do is you would give more credence to the other parties, because they would get in with a much stronger majority, like Plaid Cymru, which would be a disaster for the people of Wales, because Welsh independence would break up the union and they'd look to go back into the EU, which is what they want to do, although they don't actually not eligible to get back in there. That's what they'll attempt to do. So the short answer is no. At this current position in time, I'm not looking to stand in Senate elections myself. We should advance. My advice would be not at this moment in time. We should concentrate on 2029 to build the membership, to build the party, develop its policies. You cannot go into an election 3 months out with 2 draft policies. And don't forget, under devolution, we have different frameworks here in Wales. There are 22 devolved areas in Wales that do not apply to Westminster. So anything that is developed from central office in London will not apply here in Wales under certain conditions, health, education and such forth. So there is so much to be done in such a short space of time. And I made this clear to Ben when he asked me, should we? My advice to him was not to stand candidates. I think it would be a foolish mistake, and it will leave us with egg on our face and make us look a party that is not going anywhere in Wales. So I hope that helps answer the question. Those are my thoughts.
Ben had agreed, hadn't he?
Yeah. Having worked in Wales politically for 15 years, I have got my finger on the pulse politically. I've worked in the Senedd. I've worked around politicians here in Wales. I know the game, and I would tell you now, it would be an absolute suicidal political mission for us to go into the Senate elections in May this year with the time that we have left. Hope that answers your question, Carl. Basil, what's your thoughts on the Welsh elections, mate? What I've just said.
Well, it sounds like Reform and Plaid Cymru are neck and neck in the elections. Look, just remember, there's a lot of people in Reform who would happily be in Advance UK if it was the bigger party. I just remember that, okay? So it's not a case, they're not happy about being in Reform, right? They're in Reform because it's the only option they've got right now to get any chance of having any power on this side of the divide. So just remember that. When it comes to the Senate elections, I mean, obviously, I hope Reform win. I do. I hope if there was an election tomorrow, I'd hope Reform win. I want the boats would hopefully stop. We still have a long way to go. Reform are nowhere near good enough, and they're not going to save this country. And I'm genuinely worried about the lack of effort they've got in terms of remigrating people and the rest of it. They may change their mind one day. I doubt it. And while they haven't done that, we need other parties to keep pushing them. But if Reform become government in any part of the United Kingdom, then that opens up the Overton window shifting, and it should. So what I want to see is, I don't want Reform to be the furthest right-wing party in Parliament. I want them to be the centrist party, because they are. They are centrists when you actually look at the political spectrum in the Western world. We need parties that are properly on the right when it comes to cultural issues. We need conservative, small c, conservative parties that believe in our traditions, believe in the British people and so on, and, you know, want to remigrate the millions of people who shouldn't be here. That's what we need. So if Reform are in office, and this is one of the big mistakes of having this terrible liberal left-wing media that we have, nobody challenges Reform from the right. You never hear anybody in journalism turn around and say, your policies are actually pretty weak. All you're going to do is deport, from what we can work out, any boat migrants who arrive after you take office. And of the ones already here, single adult males. Okay, that's a few 100,000. I believe they said 500,000. Okay, that is a drop within a drop in the ocean. There are about 10 million people at least who shouldn't be here in this country. I am not kidding. So when it looks like, how are we going to move the needle on this stuff? Well, Reform have moved it an inch. It needs to go a mile. So again, if they're going to be the party that's in office, Advance UK will stand to the right of them and say, we're the better option. And do you know what? There's going to be more elections. So it's not just a case of this one and then it's done. At the next election, what will happen is, if Reform takes power and the Afghan rapes don't stop, and the people that we see on our streets making them terrible don't stop, and the Palestinian flags don't stop, and it just keeps on going, when people will get sick of Reform. I mean, they're already getting called Tory 2.0 everywhere you look on social media anyway. Yeah, absolutely. So how much more needs to happen? I mean, do you know what? I've spoke about this a few times. Reform's backyard used to be Twitter. right? It was literally their playground. You said anything negative about reform, and it got kiboshed straight away, and people jumped on you. They're a lot quieter these days. And the reason why is because people are realizing. Now, remember, the public are about 6 months to 2 years behind next, depending on the subject, right? So, again, it will catch up to them. They will realize that this is a busted flush. And unless reform fixes its policies, then we'll keep on fighting against them. What I hope to see happen is reform to learn from their mistakes and go, actually, we do need to keep these people on side, and we will fix our policies. I know a lot of people don't like Nigel Farage. I haven't got much love for him either, right? But at the end of the day, I'm willing to put aside differences for the sake of our survival as a country, as a peoples, okay? I want to see our country survive. So if Nigel Farage turns around and says, hey, you know what? We're going to lose this election if Advance don't step down candidates because we're going to split the vote or whatever, great. Then you need to sort your policies out to make Ben Habib turn around and say, fine, I'll step down. Okay? You need to do something like that. And I believe Ben would if Farage did the right thing. But that's what politics is. And Farage can't complain about that because he did the same thing with UKIP for a decade against the Tories. And it worked. Farage proved it worked because the Conservatives gave us a Brexit referendum. So there you go.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, Basil, time's almost up, mate. Thanks for jumping on for PMQs. We're going to do this every Wednesday if you're up for it, if you're available, mate. I thought we just thought this morning, we thought, oh, should we just do PMQs, do it live? And
I was really disappointed.
It was a bit of a shit show this morning. I expected
there was nothing to talk about because it was crap. There was nothing to discuss. Yeah, exactly. Nothing happened. If PMQs didn't happen today, nothing would have changed. So
exactly that.
I just want to say a big thank you to all of our members. Claire, there on here as a member of the channel, and Andy as well. Thank you for subscribing to become a member. We appreciate that. We're going to do members only lives in the future, of course. And we're going to do a Q&A with you, with our guests as well. So you can ask more poignant questions of them in the members section. So please take a look at our members as well. Thanks for the super chats, everyone. We appreciate it because it supports the work we're doing here. Because we're currently non-government funded, because we won't take anything off the government because we don't trust the motherfuckers. Anyway, but just to say, Basil, you're always a pleasure having you on, mate.
Absolutely amazing.
And
Thank
keep
you.
up the good work. When's your next space out, Baz?
I did one this morning, so I won't be doing another one today. But I don't know, whenever I feel like it. That's the joy of X. Nothing's scheduled. It's just whenever there's something to talk about.
Yeah. Do you ever get tired of ranting? You know, sometimes you just keep ranting about stuff, and it's like it's
not just in general.
In general, like that's what I meant. Yeah.
I worry other people get sick of listening to me ranting, but honestly, I find it cathartic. It's like I'd go mad if I didn't have a microphone to scream into. But luckily, the one thing that's great about like YouTube channels such as yours and X and all the rest of it and Spaces is that when you live in our country, you can feel like a very lonely person at times, right? And what I mean is politically, right? Because if you believe in sort of capping immigration or, deporting people or whatever, you're not allowed to say this in the workplace. You're not allowed to say it in school grounds. You're not allowed to say it at college or university or in the public sphere. You're not allowed to say it in public buildings. You can get in trouble. And so you sit there and constantly think, and I never see my views expressed on mainstream media. Is it just me who believes this? And then you go onto social media, and what you realize is, no, vast majority of the country agrees with you. We're just not allowed to talk about it. So, yeah, I think it's really important things that you guys do, and many others. And obviously, I do my little bit as well.
Oh, we love you, and we are so grateful for you. So next Wednesday.
Yeah, because people are always asking, when's Basil back on? When's Basil back on? He's a busy man.
We worked well. I think we worked well. So look, see if we can do next Wednesday. But just keep in touch, and we'll play it by ear. Is that
cool.
Okay?
Take care,
Basil.
everyone. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Take care, guys.
We're not going just yet. We're going to announce.
Oh, I am.
Baz is always amazing, isn't he?
He's super.
No, on tomorrow night, folks. Just for those. No, we can tell you what we're doing tomorrow night.
Oh, tomorrow night.
So tomorrow night, right? So we got this thing. We got to sit down and help Rogue to write her speech. If he's nervous.
Really nervous.
Because we are at the Together Declarations event. It's a tour. Can you get it up, love, so I know the details of it, please? I think it's a Cardiff tour on standing against digital ID, of course, fighting for the freedom of speech and stopping inheritance tax for our farmers, because, of course, it has a massive impact on our food supply. And this is who we're with. I know it's backwards.
No to digital ID.
Yeah.
So, Alan Miller and the Together Declaration, we are standing with our farmers and no to cancelling elections, juries and appeal. We want to fight back as the public. We are live in Wales this Thursday, the 12th of Feb at 7 p.m.
And you're speaking, Rogue. I can't wait to
I
hear
am
from you.
speaking,
Are you
and
nervous?
it's not nervous. I'm full of cold, and I'm like coughing, like having to press mute quickly because I'm coughing. So I'm just thinking that you might have to take over a little bit. High five! Yeah.
We'll be fine. So we're going to be there. So if you've not got tickets, if you go to the Together Declarations website, that's together.org.uk, I believe it is. If you want to be there and come and say hi, we'll try and do a live stream from there. I'm not sure what the Wi-Fi connection is going to be like, but we'll try and bring it to you. There's going to be a number of speakers. Gareth Wyn-Jones, the famous Welsh farmer here in North Wales. Some of you have seen him a lot on GB News and Talk TV. I think we have Stephen Jackson, who's a solicitor, law and fiction, great guy, and many others. Alan Miller, of course, the founder of the Together Declaration, will be speaking as well. So please make sure you tune in, because we'll be doing interviews, I should imagine. We're doing some independent journalism with them.
Absolutely.
Getting the mics in people's faces. I tell you what we'll do, we'll take one of these with us, look, and pretend, put a wireless mic on and just go like that. It's not even connected, like, just go like that. So,
can I just say that we're asking when Ben is on. He was supposed to be on tonight. He was due on, but he cancelled tonight. So we shall wait and see if he's going to come back on again soon. So we'll just have to hold that.
Yeah, he has postponed, and he's going to give us apparently some alternative dates. So we'll wait for that and for him to get back. And we'll let you know as soon as we get those dates firmed up. We'll let you know, folks. I know many of you have asked questions that you'd like to put to Ben, and we'll make sure they get to him. So thank you very much for that.
And the speech will be worth hearing. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Jake.
Absolutely.
Right, Helen, listen, thank you for watching the channel. Thank you for supporting. Thank you, Jake, and everybody else who's joined today. We appreciate you.
We do indeed. Now, hands off the controls now, because you want me to finish the show, do you?
I do, yeah. It's time to go because I need a big coughing fit.
Yeah, hang on. Just bear with. Here we go. Don't forget to follow us on all the social media platforms as well. We're on Facebook.
So we're on Facebook, Richie and
YouTube.
Rogue, on X, which is Rogue Unfiltered, and R.W. Taylor. And we've got our website too. So have a look at that, which is www.richieandrogue.com.
Bye.
Bye.